Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a huge question in the world of programming. In an age filled with all these sleek, modern languages, does C, one of the oldest and, frankly, most influential languages ever, still have a place? And, it's a totally fair question. I mean, with languages like Python, Rust, and JavaScript pretty much everywhere, you have to wonder if learning C today is kind of like a step backward, or if it still holds a really vital, powerful spot in a programmer's toolbox. So to really get a feel for C's value, we've got to start by looking at the arguments against it. And let's be clear, a lot of the complaints you hear are perfectly legit. Okay, so the arguments against C usually fall into these three buckets. First off, it's old. I mean, we're talking created back in the 1970s old. Second, because it's so old, it's missing a ton of features that we just take for granted today. And third, all of that can make developers feel like they're trying to code with one hand tied behind their back. So what do we mean when we say missing features? Well, we're really talking about a lack of modern conveniences. All the tools and shortcuts that are designed to make a programmer's life way easier and their code a whole lot safer. And these missing features aren't just, minor little things. Take garbage collection, for example. It's basically a process where the language automatically cleans up memory that you're not using anymore. Newer languages added stuff like this on purpose to stop common errors and just speed things up. In C, nope. All of that memory management is on you. And all that extra manual work leads directly to this, which is probably the biggest, most practical complaint for any developer on a deadline, right? Time is money, and if a language is slowing you down, that is a serious, serious problem. And wow, this side-by-side comparison just hammers the point home. Look at the left. That's the code for a simple network client in C. You have to handle every single step yourself, creating sockets, managing memory, checking for every little error. Now, look over at the right. This same exact task in Ruby is just a handful of lines. Why? Because the language handles all that complicated stuff for you. For professional, that difference in time and effort is absolutely massive. So with all those very real complaints on the table, you have to ask yourself, why on earth is C still here? Why do top universities still teach it? And why do some of the best programmers in the world defend it so passionately? Well, the whole defense of C really boils down to these three core strengths. It is incredibly fast, because there's almost nothing between your code and the actual hardware. It's lean, which means it creates small, super efficient programs. And maybe most importantly, it's foundational to pretty much everything we use every single day. And we're not talking about niche areas here. C isn't just a language for these fields. It is often the language. It is the literal bedrock of modern computing. It's running the deep inner core of your operating system. Doesn't matter if it's Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Is inside the tiny little microcontrollers in your car, your microwave, even your smart thermostat. So here's the crucial point. Even when you're using a modern language, chances are you are standing on the shoulders of C. When a data scientist in Python uses a library like NumPy to do lightning-fast calculations, guess what? The really speedy, high-performance guts of that library, they're written in C. And this brings us to what a lot of people think is C's most important role today. It's not just about what you can build with C, it's about what C builds in you as a programmer. Seriously, this might just be C's greatest superpower in this day and age. Learning C is kind of like getting an X-ray of your computer, because it doesn't have all those modern shortcuts. It forces you. It forces you to understand how a computer actually works on a much, much deeper level. It makes you get your hands dirty with concepts like pointers. And this isn't some abstract idea. This is you, the programmer, literally telling the computer exactly where to store data and where to get it from in its physical memory. It's a level of control that is both a little dangerous and incredibly enlightening. And that's the key right there. C is so close to the metal, as they say, that it just peels back the curtain. You start to actually see how the high-level logic you're writing gets turned into the basic instructions that the processor really understands. It demystifies the whole machine. And here's the really cool part. Because C's syntax and its whole structure were so influential, once you master it, you have a massive head start everywhere else. When you look at loops or functions in C++, Java, or even JavaScript, it all feels familiar. You're not just learning one language, you're learning the blueprint for a whole family of them. All right, so after hearing all the arguments for and against, what's the final takeaway here? In this century, is cardiovascular really worth your time? When we lay it all out like this, a really clear picture starts to form. The very things that make C frustrating, the fact that it's old, it lacks features, it makes you manage memory, those are the exact same things that give it its power. They force you to be efficient, they give you that low-level control, and they deliver this incredible educational value. So the bottom line is this: C is still absolutely worth learning. Now, you're probably not going to build your next website or mobile app with it, but the deep understanding of memory, of performance, and of the hardware itself that you gain from it, that will make you a better, more effective programmer, no matter what language you end up using for your day job. And that leaves us with one last big thought. C has been the bedrock of computing for decades. So as we look ahead to a future with AI, with quantum computing, and with technologies we can't even imagine right now, what language or what new concept will be the C of tomorrow?